but I'm not going to compete with another woman for a woman. I'm not doing that. It's stupid enough for men to compete amongst themselves for the attention of a woman. I'm not going to be fucking subjected to a woman outdoing me just because she knows how that shit down there works better than I would. Or they can scissor each other and then like just use strap-ons on one another and have fun that way. Shout out to all yous that use or partake in strap-ons and dildos, but I'm not partaking in that. That's not, what I'm into at all. This thing called life, I think it's only human nature to expect to find yourself, hopefully, in the opportunity to indulge and partake in more than you can handle. Take these 4 chicken wings, for example. Now, for me, I'm not the smallest guy. I'm a pretty big guy. I made some gains in the last, couple of months while I'm on a diet, trying to trim down for the summer. These 4 wings, though, inoffensive to me. I'll take them. I'll eat them. I'll do what I choose with them. No one's forced me to do nothing with them. If I don't eat all 4, I'll take maybe 3, put one away for later. I'll probably eat 4 as soon as I'm done with this. But right here, food, tangible object. I can choose to do what I want with it. I don't want it now, don't want it later. It's fine. That's an opportunity I made for myself by getting that many wings. Now, in the case of human beings, what if we take on more than we can handle? What if we bite off more than we can chew? What the fuck am I even talking about, right? There's this basic concept that's been working for us for the longest of times. For, as long as we've existed. Whatever you believe in. Throw that shit out the fucking door right now. Toss it out of you. We're not talking about that. What's the basic concept of human relationships that we've known and has been established for the longest of times? People come together and they make a couple. 1 and 1 make 2, right? That's a couple right there. That's what we've known as a norm for the longest time. I think we're getting to the point where we still haven't figured out what makes a couple work, what keeps a couple together for life, ideally, when you get married, when you commit to each other, when you have children, all that shit too. That's not to say it's a bad thing when couples don't work out. They split, they divorce, they get joint custody of the children. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's not a clear enough sign of us as a society, as humanity, can't even nail down the concept of a couple and see how it works out. Because if you look at it, the divorce rates are going up. Even in the LGBTQ community, shout outs to them. But surprisingly enough, their divorce rates are higher than, non-LGBT persons involved in a couple. But that's not to pinpoint or shame them. That's just an example. If we're still unable currently to pinpoint and or see why isn't a couple thing a for life thing in every case, why is there all of a sudden now, as it seems like, bubbling to the surface, becoming a reality, dawning upon us as potentially the new norm, the idea, the concept, the reality of adding 1 more to that mix and element and making it 3, as in a throuple. What the fuck is a throuple? Well, it's pretty obvious. It's a play on words with the word couple, so it's now 3 people. But literally, a throuple is a 3-person relationship. 3 people willingly involved with one another and one another to make things work amongst the 3 of them. Now I know you're thinking, wait a second, what are you talking about, 3-way sex? But no, it's not 3-way sex. Because now if you want to throw it back to sexy time terms, when you want to propose something or make it seem like acceptable, what do you throw out there? Have you ever done a menage a trois? Sounds sexy, right? Rolls off the tongue real nice, if you could pronounce it. I'm probably butchering it. Shout out to the French speakers out there. If I am saying it wrong, forgive me. I'm trying my best out here. But a menage a trois, if hopefully that's the right way to say it. Rolls off the tongue nice, sounds sexy, sounds inviting. We already know what it means. Regardless of what language you speak natively, you know what that means or what it implies. Or so I thought till today at least, because then when I happened to look that terminology up, while looking further into this throuple thing, it turns out menage a trois is not, hey, the 3 of us, let's go ahead and have sex in French, No. The actual definition of menage a trois is, hey, let's have a 3-people relationship, a 3-person relationship, whatever you want to call it. Imagine that. So, of course, with the French accent over time sounding as sexy as it does, especially out of a woman, or, if you're a woman, if you hear it from a man and shit too, whatever your preference is, of course, no shame in that. It always sounds sexy, inviting, solicitive of sex, ideally, right? Now, had we known this whole time it really meant let's have a 3-person relationship, I don't think we'd be so willing to accept or jump at the opportunity of said menage a trois. Because what's the least sexiest thing a person can propose to you? Hey, let's get into a relationship. Let's fucking build and bond together and learn each other's likes and dislikes. Follow each other back on every social media app you're a part of. And learn what you do or don't like on your chicken wings, or do I stick it fast, do I stick it slow in you during doggy style? All this shit you gotta fucking remember, keep track of, keep stats of, and all that too. You gotta make an Excel sheet just to remember what the fuck your partner's into anymore nowadays, and that's just with 2 people. Imagine you got a 3rd one involved, as in you're stuck in a throuple. That's 2 times the work for everyone involved. That's 2 birthdays you gotta remember. That if you're a man with 2 women, that's 2 cycles you gotta fend for your life for. You gotta remember they shop. Okay, one likes the wide wingspan maxi pads, one likes the thin pearl strings that she shoves up herself, whatever. I don't know maxi pads, I don't know that stuff, so forgive me for not knowing more in depth like that. But then you got the whole thing turned on its head. It was tough enough to be in a couple, now you're in a throuple. Not you, but you know what I mean. You get involved in a throuple. What the fuck is a throuple again? A throuple is 3 people willingly getting into a romantic relationship with one another and another. Sex, of course, is implied. That's the whole premise usually. But here's another fun fact about throuples. Maybe not fun as far as you want to get into one, but fun enough to know. If you're learning along with me as far as how throuples work, well, shout outs to you. Because it is fascinating to me, but not enough to me partake in one per se. I'm finding my couple already right now.
I'll say action. Action.
Don't you ever fart on my tits again.
Now that we know what a throuple is, and I'm putting you on hopefully now to the reality that a throuple may become the norm soon enough, or who knows, maybe 10, 20 years from now, you're going to be in a doctor's office checking off forms, and when you check off one spouse, you're calling out to the nurse and be like, nurse, I'm in a throuple, so I need to check off my other spouse as well too. That is if, polygamy is allowed at any point in New York, a state, or anywhere else too in the United States. And it says, oh, you know what, sweetheart, don't worry about it. Just scribble their name underneath the spouse you got already. We'll just figure it out right there. We'll know to bill all 3 insurance companies. Like, oh, great, thank you so much, I appreciate it, kind of thing, right? That might be the norm one day, something as simple as that. But now, how does a throuple become a throuple? How does a couple level up to involving one more person, evolving like a Pokemon and becoming a throuple, right? There's another term involved besides the brand new one you probably learned right now, word of the day, throuple. Here's a second one for you. Well, not so new, but terminology-wise it is, a unicorn. A unicorn is necessary to make a throuple happen. That's what it's like. If you know Pokemon, it's like you take Pikachu and you expose it to the Thunderstone, and only then and there will evolve into Raichu. It's like that. The Unicorn Stone needs to be held near the couple so they can evolve into a throuple and get involved with one another. Shout out to Pokemon. I was just watching the Indigo series on Netflix, and yeah, it took me back to high school when I was watching that shit every morning before school. Simpler times. So what's a unicorn in this case for a throuple? Here's a definition for it so it's clear. Unicorn is a term used to describe a human who is interested in meeting a couple. So a couple that's willing to meet the 3rd person to bring together and make a throuple happen, that's the unicorn. This person, the unicorn, might be looking for one great night, makes sense, something more serious and long-term, okay, that's plausible, or anything in between, a mix of the two. Oh, the sex is good enough. You know what? I could do this pretty often with you guys, once a week, twice a week, whatever, when you're in town. Maybe I'll house sit for you when you're out of town. When you come back, we'll just have sex to like, hey, welcome back. Here's my leg spread wide open for you. Or my hole. Whatever your preference is. It doesn't matter, right? They might want to date a couple, the unicorn, exclusively, or they might expect complete freedom to keep meeting people outside of their dynamic with you or them, or anything in between. So that also means the unicorn is free to roam beyond their couple, which makes them a throuple, to explore other throuples and become a throuple with other couples as well. So the unicorn is really given all this freedom and, land to roam, I guess, or ass to play with, I guess, if you're into the ass play. I'm not. Don't ever try that with me. The unicorn might want to be there for the couple, taking part in the sexual fantasy or role play, or they might need to search for a couple who will focus all their attention on them or anything in between. So there's a lot of fucking, branching out when it comes to the unicorn's involvement into making the couple into a throuple. So the unicorn can really just be, I guess when when the couple's in the mood to have like, I guess, unicorn sex or something like that. I guess the third person maybe becomes a unicorn. They strap the unicorn horn on their head and just start drilling somebody, whoever's willing. She's taking it in the ass and he's taking it up in the mouth. I don't know how it works, but I guess that's what it sounds like. So unicorn is necessary to make a couple into a throuple. It's essential to that formula. I think, my opinion, of course, I think the unicorn term is putting too much pressure on that person. Ideally, it would be like a couple looking for a unicorn to like, was it unicorns like grant wishes or something like that? Maybe they're putting too much pressure on the unicorn in this case. Maybe like a zebra, maybe like a giraffe or something like that. Those sound like awkward animals, but then, nowadays with the fetish communities and all that too, they like to idolize all these things or really make them more glamorous than they are, when really it's just two people in furry costumes fucking each other through holes they made each other, despite the fact the costume might have cost way too much than what was in their allowed, range to pay for. They got to cut holes into it too. It's all awkward and jagged. Stick it in, stick it out. Oh, don't come on my fucking fur patch, please. No, I paid too much for this fucking thing. I get it disgusting, but it's real out there. Furry sex is real out there. It's been real for years, and now it's probably more FurryCon. Isn't that where they all gather together to fucking, well, maybe not for sex, but at least to like, trade secrets of like how to keep their costumes, pristine and furry and shit? I don't know. No judgment on them. I'm just saying, like, okay, it's just let's take it easy with the fetishes out in the open like that.
Leche con flakes, papel de baño, papel de baño, leche con flakes, papel de baño, papel de baño, leche con flakes.
Now, if you want to get more involved with that, if you want to go beyond a throuple, meaning a couple and a unicorn, is there a next level? Can you evolve further? Can you go from a Mac Chop to a Mac Choke to a Mac Champ, back to Pokemon terminology? Yes, in this case there is. What's there that fucking evolve further into? There's a quad and polyamory. Polyamory meaning a whole bunch of people getting together to have a relationship. A quad describes a 4-person polyamorous relationship. Due to the nature of how a quad is formed, each member does not necessarily have romantic or sexual involvement with every other member. Quads often form when 2 polyamorous couples take an interest in one another. So now that shit means really not the swingers, because that means, well, would it be swingers? No, swingers are the ones that the couples that have sex with. I think they invite people. I'm not into this shit. I haven't been invited to swing, with a couple, so I wouldn't know. Forgive me for my lack of knowledge in that sense. But if it's not swingers, I think it's people in the wife swapping. No. Wait a second. Hold on. Wife swapping is, for example, if I have a wife and I don't mind trading her off to another friend of mine and he fucks her, but I get to fuck his wife too, that's wife swapping. Swinging, I think, is couples that just everyone has sex. Okay, so I think it would be a more committed, advanced level of intimate Swinger couple? No. See, I confuse myself now because I can't even make sense of it. Okay, so I guess literally at the base of it, it would be two couples that like each other enough to make, a stable of sex, of people together, all committed together. So they go above and beyond the throuple, the couple and a unicorn. It's a couple and a couple just getting together. Romantically, sex involved, not necessarily with every member. That's the crazy part. So two couples could get together, they make a quad, but let's say the husband doesn't find the other wife attractive, so they don't have to have sex or be romantic with each other, but the other husband could find the other wife real attractive. They always have sex. And then maybe the guy gets turned on by the guy fucking his wife, and then they're together, and then the other wife is just left out of the mix completely, unless the other one just feels bad and just starts eating her out out of, courtesy. Or, hey, we're in a quad, might as well commit to everybody being involved, right? No hole left out, pretty much. That's a quad. And if you're wondering, yes, there is more than a quad. It goes beyond a quad for people in a relationship with each other. And that, if you want to go beyond that, why would you? I don't know, but okay, maybe you're young and adventurous like that, or that limber. 4, 5, or more is a moresome, which I hate how punny that is, but I do love it at the same time because it's kind of genius. I wish I would have came up with that, honestly, if we had to label that kind of shit going on, but, they beat me to it. So a moresome is if you got more than 4 people, or by default 5+, everybody involved in a relationship, sexually, romantically, emotionally, spiritually, all that shit going on. That's a moresome. That's a more. First off, as long as they're happy, God bless them. Happy wives, happy life apparently for this guy. He's living every guy's fantasy of having 2 women at once every time he goes to have sex with his wife. But question, he married one of them. So if the wife is giving him head and the other one happens to be there at his balls, sniffing away, does she jump in, take turns, get involved? I may even have to go back to school of all things, which I was never expecting to do, to be honest, Sort of kind of shout outs to the school system, my girlfriend's going to school soon enough, actually to graduate school. And the price of graduate school for the 5 years she's got to go for, not cheap. By default, she's got to take out a loan, and unfortunately, I have to look forward to paying that back when she gets a job, hopefully right out of school and shit. She got a scholarship, which was like spitting into an empty bucket. And you keep spitting and nothing adds up. That was pretty much a scholarship, just, a drop in a bucket, better yet said. Means nothing. But I may have to go back to school. You know why? Because if this throuple thing, this quad thing, starts to pick up or moresomes become a thing, I need to be one of the OG with the PhD in throuples therapy of all things. Why the fuck not? Shout out to higher learning in that case so I can get a bigger bag as everyone's pursuing nowadays with inflation being so real out here too. I may have to do that just so I could lock in all the throuples and put an ad out there, put a reel on TikTok or Instagram, whatever. Hey, are you a throuple? Are you going through it right now? Is this one not fucking you, but that one can't stop fucking you? Well, come on in, free consultation for the first time visit, and then if you commit to me, just like you would a throuple, you fucking weirdos, then I can fix you for the low price of whatever I can bill your insurance for them on 3 fucking claims in 1 visit. Who the fuck wouldn't take advantage of that shit? Now listen, no disrespect to psychiatrists, therapists out there doing it right now for real. I respect you, I appreciate you, but I might as well start playing into your game too and take part and grab the bag from all these dummies. Well, I mean these willing participants in a throuple or a quad or a moresome. Whatever you got going on, which means I'll be able to afford soon enough an office with the nice ass swanky leather couches that the therapist always gets, so you can lay down and look up at the ceiling while I pretend to listen to you make doodles about your dick or your ass, most likely. But now I got 3 people to draw like that, 4 people to draw like that. I get a nice big swanky fancy office, 4 people at a time. Everyone takes their turns. We're there for like 4 hours. I got the fucking insurance claims just rolling out the fucking office, process them shits and pay me back for putting up with these twats and all that. Shout outs to that shit. seems like a glorious thing to aspire to. I might just reveal my game plan for the next 5-10 years, but so be it. It doesn't matter. At least I'll be paid to do it. And I'll be paid to listen to 4 sets of mouths, 4 whiny adults, knowing better than to get involved with fucking 4 people, 5 people, 10 people all at the same time. How does that even work? I don't understand, but whatever. There's that to deal with, right? There's that reality. Now, what I will share with you is, besides the fact that I've probably discovered my next career move, most likely, and shout outs to making career moves, the smart moves, secure the bag, Betty had said.
They did what? When? How? Are you sure?
I was actually involved in a 3-way date. Was against my knowledge. I had no idea. And when it went down, the way it went down was I wasn't made aware. Back in college, this is 2004 now, like 20 years ago now. I went to LaGuardia Community College. Shout out to LaGuardia. Good school. I met this girl in between semesters during my freshman year. Not going to say her name, because by some odd chance, who knows, maybe she's listening, or somebody that she does know is listening. Good-looking girl. I'm young. I'm 2004. I'm 20 years old, barely. Yeah, not even 20 yet. Good-looking girl. She's about as pale as this white T-shirt I got on, like milky white. She's cute, though. Big brown eyes. She wears these nice, like, round frame glasses. Black, jet black, just bone straight hair. And she's got these big fucking tits on her. So shout out to big tits. Always enough to seal the deal. Now, I was already kind of sold on the rest based off looks alone. The tits are just like an added bonus. Like, you know, you get that compensation check or that annual incentive from work. Yeah, kind of like that. Titties are always like that. When they're involved like that, it's always a pleasant surprise. But point is, I was feeling her, as we used to say back when. I liked her a lot. And on top of that, she was cool. She was heavy into hip-hop. She was Italian, so she talked kind of like, you know, how the Italian girls talk from New York. I loved that. It was a turn-on for me. And we got along fine. Most of the time was just us chatting in class, not doing the math work we were supposed to do. And, you know, just chatting. I'm not really, like, trying to pursue her like that, but I am talking to her every chance I get. I'm, like, sitting next to her. I'm, like, if I run into the hallway, you know, it's always, like, a little chat, conversation, a little flirtiness, whatever. But then one day she says to me, hey, do you know about this spot where, not too far from here, where this guy has mixtapes? That was the thing back when, mixtapes, so like the G-Unit series of mixtapes, G-Unit Radio, and like any other rapper who was like freestyle on the popular beat at the time, they'd have their mixtape out. I was looking for a mixtape place myself, so I'm like, no, actually, I never heard of that place. Like, where's that at? She's like, oh, why don't you come with me on, I think it was a Friday. Friday, I'm going to head out there, and, you know, we'll look at stuff together, all that too. And I says, oh, okay, cool. Like, maybe we'll just make I throw it out there. We'll make a date of it. Grab a bite to eat or something like that. She's like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. Definitely. Because we were cool at that point. We were, like, joking around, like my same kind of humor. Day comes up. We meet at school. It's an early day. I think we actually skipped that math class that day because it was Friday, like at 1 o'clock. It was scheduled for, so we just said, fuck it. I think I failed that. No, I didn't fail that class. I actually got a D+. I had to beg the teacher to give me that D+, because he was going to, pause, I had to beg the teacher for the D. I had to beg the teacher for the D+, because he was willing to fail me so I could do it all over again. But I really didn't want to fucking shell out more money for math class again. And I was already bad at math, so I had to beg him. I didn't even pass that final exam. I just did some extra work on whatever he told me to do, and he, you know, threw me the bone and gave me the D+. Pause. But we skipped that class that day. We're on our way, like maybe like 2 blocks away from the school, And then all of a sudden, she's like waving someone down in the distance. Like we're in the middle of something. She's like throwing the arms up, just like waving them down. What the fuck's the matter with her? She's waving down a friend, apparently someone else that she knew. And I thought, okay, they're going to say hi real quick, whatever, and then we'll be on our way. You know, just me and her. No. Turns out it's another female. But how do I say this properly without offending potentially? It's a female that likes other females, obviously a lesbian, but the kind of female that acts overly masculine. Dresses the part, looks the part. By the looks of, I'm assuming her, safely I could say that, this one. She's the one that carries dildos, either in their back pocket or strapped on somehow to give them the illusion and feeling of having a penis as if they were a male. Which, nothing wrong with that. Honestly, it's hilarious when I found out that was a thing. Like, I get it if you're a woman, you're a lesbian, you're into other women, you have another woman you spend your time with and fucking all that shit too, with your scissor, and then you want to throw a strap-on on. Okay, no problem. Dildos, strap-ons, vibrators, all that shit too. That's fair play. That's what they're into. I got no judgment of that. But I didn't know that some women actually wear the strap-ons 24/7 and throw the boxers and the jeans on and walk around like that, like they actually have the cock, but it's really just a strap-on. It's a plastic thing. No judgment again, but she clearly looked that type. Then all of a sudden, we're walking all together. I'm confused because I'm like, wait a minute. Is this girl a lesbian? It turns out. Because she was really fucking cool. And I really like talking to her. We had the same kind of humor, same taste in music, all that shit too. But then this third wheel is walking with us. And they know each other, obviously, I guess, from wherever they live. They were like, close buddies like that. But the other one is really flirty with her, like really dropping this lingo like about, oh, yeah, something like sweet ass or, when you going to come through, when you're going to let me slide through and something like that too. So I'm overhearing this shit. I'm like, I had no idea this girl was a lesbian. But then I thought, wait, maybe she's bisexual. But then what does that mean for me? Does that mean she's bisexual and she's pulling like some reality dating show type shit, like who's the best of either side that she wants to deal with today, and maybe if she gets tired of me, she goes back to the lesbian, and if she gets tired of the lesbian, hits me up again. I'm not into that shit. I don't want to partake in any of that. In my mind, I'm walking, and we're like, covering some ground. We're getting to where we're, destined to go to, and all that shit. I see that at some point then, while we're walking, it's a long walk. Like if you ever walk from LaGuardia Community College to like where we were headed to, Steinway, you got to go, I think, up Skillman Avenue underneath the bridge, whatever it is. Like it's overhead over the train yard, something like that. The lesbian, the manly lesbian, is reaching around her waist and trying to pull her in towards her. Now, the other one is playing kind of dumb, I get. Now, I don't know for me necessarily, but maybe she's just playing it off like, oh, relax or calm down, not like that kind of thing. I can't tell. But once I seen that, I was like, in my mind, wait a minute. No. I'm like in over my head. She might have invited me out as a friend, it turns out. Not so much like someone she was looking to do something with or get involved with like that. So then I says in my mind, I got to come up with some sort of excuse to just pull out of this shit. Because this is like getting out of hand. This is ridiculous. I'm not going to be fucking third wheel to, a confirmed, obviously in plain sight she's a lesbian. And then the other one, I can't tell if she's bi or she's into girls, but she still likes guys, maybe, whatever. I'm not doing this shit. So I just say, you know what? I got the bubble guts right now. I remember I ate before we met in the cafeteria. The cafeteria food never did that to me. Thank God. Shout out to LaGuardia Community College lunch in that cafeteria is always pretty good. Not cheap, but good. But so, I got the bubble guts. I got the runs. It feels like it's coming up right now. I got to dip. I got to leave pretty much. She was like, "Oh, you sure? Whatever." Da 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 da. The girl, the other, mind you, the other lesbian, barely gave me a head nod the whole time we interacted, if at all, and did not talk to me at all throughout the time. She's like, sweet talking the girl in her ear. So I says, yeah, I feel it rumbling right now. I got to make it to the train, make it back home. I can't really make it to school right now. So, I'm just going to leave. I'll see you in class kind of thing. I'll see you in class, whatever. So I pulled out of that shit. And I ran until the other end of the block. And then when I saw that they weren't, like, visible no more, I wasn't, like, in plain sight, then I just walked and said, God damn it. Was I just in a fucking three-way date? Was this bitch playing me and trying to make me feel like I'm like, I gotta compete for her because there's another one that's interested in me, but she happens to be a woman too? Which I got nothing against. I'm not against lesbianism. That's my favorite category of porn, by the way, if you need to know that. If it was, I'm sorry, TMI. I'm just saying that's all I'm really into because I'm not into seeing dicks. Unless I'm not even seeing my own dick. I don't even want to see my own, better yet said. But point is, I pulled out of that shit as soon as I could when I knew. Well, I assumed what was coming, but I'm not going to compete with another woman for a woman. I'm not doing that. It's stupid enough for men to compete amongst themselves for the attention of a woman. I'm not going to be fucking subjected to a woman outdoing me just because she knows how that shit down there works better than I would. Or they can scissor each other and then like just use strap-ons on one another and have fun that way. Shout out to all you that use or partake in strap-ons and dildos, but I'm not partaking in that. That's not, what I'm into at all.
I'm a rock addict. I need to have these rocks at all costs.
It's a rock, for crying out loud.
Okay.
And I guess to end it off with, let's have fun with it, right? I'm not saying let's do a throuple. Calm down. I'm not into you like that. I don't know who you are even, but shout out to you for listening and watching all that too. But let's have fun with this idea of three-ways, right? The three-way, even as much as I love my girlfriend and most likely I'm going to marry her pretty soon, spoiler, the three-way I will absolutely not turn down. If proposed and or the opportunity arises, if I'm in the room with this person within their vicinity and I'm able to make a move, chatter up, whatever the case is, I'm doing it. I'm fucking pulling the trigger on that. Busting off all shots, emptying out the clip, shooting my shot, better yet said, if it comes down to me being in the same room and or space or even close to sniping her and spotting her out, Mackenzie Scott. Who is Mackenzie Scott, you ask? I'm glad you did, because if you know anything about Amazon, then you know Jeff Bezos is the guy that created Amazon, owns it, and was at least one of the richest guys on the planet. I forget. But all the money in the world, basically multi-billionaire multiple times over. That's his ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott. So I guess Mackenzie Bezos, but now Mackenzie Scott since divorced now. About, I think like a year or two ago, maybe more than that. They got divorced. She automatically became the richest woman on the planet. And I think he still remained the richest until Elon Musk bought Twitter and or X and then that whole thing. I don't remember. It doesn't matter to me at this point. But she became the richest woman on the planet. Obviously, I thought at first, well, she knew him and they were married when he still had hair. He went bald, before they split up. So maybe she's not so much into the bald thing, but she learned to adapt, or maybe the baldness might have been like a driving factor into like them splitting up. Who knows? It might be something as stupid as that. You never know nowadays with couples, right? And that's why, throuples might be a scary reality we're looking at, but then who knows? Maybe in that case, you deal with one person and their trauma, but then you got the other person, at least it could be like the support pillow, the shoulder to lean on, and they can convince both of them to like make amends and shit. Who knows? Maybe the throuple thing does work out after all, in that sense at least. But what confirms she might be into bald guys, aka me right here, Chrome Dome, is that after she left Bezos, she got with, and I believe married, I have to double check, or at least she got committed to a bald man, my age, schlubby, with really pathetic facial hair and glasses. I got my 2 eyes. I don't need 4 eyes. And she went with what a woman I would least expect would go for, considering she's got all that money, so much of it that she's the richest woman on the planet, and she's selling for a bald, paunchy, schlubby, glasses wearing, nerd looking, neck beard looking ass, bald fuck of all things. What she's got right here. The epitome of bald. You know, I'm not going to go that far, but at least I stay in shape. I'm conscious of my weight. I work out. I look and sound like a man still, minus the hair, of course. I just look like a, stressed out light bulb with my eyebrows and shit going crazy like that. But that's what the billions are for. You can help me, with my brow maintenance, make them look sharper, nicer. I can afford eyebrow threaten more often, something like that. But goddamn, Mackenzie Scott, you, me, and that money you got, courtesy of Mr. Bezos. Thank you, Mr. Bezos. Could be living it up in our own beautiful 3-way. Our throuple. Me, her, and the money. If it ain't about the money, don't be blowing me up, because I'm blowing her back out. For God's sake, she's a billionaire. She can afford it. She can buy herself a new back, and I'll blow that one out too, one after the other. Well, she did donate a large portion of it, I think, to charity, but I still think she kept a large part of it, so she's still a multi-billionaire and still sitting on them bags. I want the bag. I want to secure my future, because then maybe I could get with her. We can have a throuple for a little bit, me, her, and the money, and then I could go back to my girlfriend now and then marry her ass and give her the wedding of her dreams and shit too, and to fund her schooling and all that shit too. She's a billionaire. She can afford whoever she wants literally on this planet. In terms of men, I'm willing to be one of them. Give me a chance, Miss Kenzie Scott, please. Put it out there if you know her. Give me a chance. Give me a chance. Give me a chance, please. But yeah, that's it for me today. That's enough about throuple talk. I'm going to be going to school otherwise and seriously looking into getting a degree in therapy, a doctorate, if anything. The PhD in throuples therapy for me, please. That's what I'm pursuing from now on, as I hope you will do me a solid and pursue the follow and or subscribe button here on YouTube for the video version and or wherever you get the audio version of the podcast on. This is R Fuggin. I'm Who This on all the socials at Who This Is One. That's this with 2 S's. And that's it for me today. If you had enough of my talk of throuples, well, at least you learned something new, hopefully, about how throuples work to begin with. If it was more than you need to know, sorry about that. But if you had plenty fun, I don't know, let me know in the comments. Share your own, throuples experience. Are you scared of throuples? Are you looking forward to having a throuple? Do you have a throuple in your mind going on right now? Well, hopefully you get to live it out. Enjoy it, as I will too. That's the end. Appreciate you. Catch you next time.
Hey, someone just came up to me and told me that you like disrespectful Latinas. Is that true? Go fuck yourself.
Yo, it's over. All right, it's over. It's over. Move the mic. Move the mic.
Thank you.
All right.